Hello there. This is Sylvia Durrell. This is our fourth installment of the ABCs of buttons. We are featuring buttons that start with the letter D today. Our Hernando County Button Collectors group will be 5 years old in November. We've had lots of fun together at our meetings and on our field trips. Visit our Facebook page for more info. I'm featuring this photo of member Georgine Jurgensen this week. The photo was taken at the Goodwill store. Georgine made a lovely comment about this activity. You'll hear what it was when we get to her page. I hope you visited my blog reference to D buttons. This is the list of D buttons defined there. There weren't a lot to choose from, but our members still did a good job finding some. Anne Buckingham's D is for dinosaurs. These colorful buttons are plastic buttons for children. Anne says, I love all buttons, including Goofy's. Tess Butts' D is for Dove. Tess shares, I chose this Dove button because I do not know what it's made of, and I'm hoping for help from the Button Club. It's about 1.5 inches wide with a depth of about 1/4 inch. It weighs 0.8 ounces. It is a pretty button and I'd love to know more about it. Susan Calkins' D is for Daisy. Susan tells us, this is a recent purchase from eBay. It is an enamel daisy. I do not know the age. It was described as an arts and craft period button. The back does not respond to a magnet, so I presume it is copper, but it looks painted with a matte finish. I'm a bit disappointed. It will look okay on my flower tray. My D's are for dog, door knocker, and dresses. The dog button is small, measuring only 3/8 of an inch. It's a pretty combination of pastel pink and blue. The size of the door knocker is 5/8 inch by 7/8 inch. It is plastic coated with metal. I bought my 4 dresses buttons about 9 months ago at Joann Fabrics. They are plastic and 2 inches tall. I love the vintage dress styles depicted on them. Hetty Emerson's D is for duck. She simply says it's 1 inch tall, made of metal, and has a duck on it. Annie Frazier's D is for dice. She's sharing this one-piece casein buckle that features dice. It's from the 1950s. Annie wonders, perhaps it was worn by a gambler. And here we are on Georgine Jurgensen's page. D is for Dickies. Her button is a black plastic button that is about 3/4 inch in size. It's a sew-through with a plain back. Georgine says, Dickies is what I call an advertising button, likely from a jacket or coveralls. And here is Georgine's comment that I mentioned in the beginning. It's a fun button because it reminds me of our Goodwill button hunts. Georgine is referring to the biennial button scavenger hunts the Hernando County Button Collectors group holds. For those of you who haven't participated, the Hernando County Button Collectors group started making field trips to Goodwill stores a few years ago. Here's how it's button related. We meet at the entrance of the Goodwill store before starting our 45 to 60-minute search of the clothing racks for a garment with the prettiest buttons. After time is up and we've purchased our garments, our group heads across the street to the Perkins restaurant. There we have a bite to eat and show off our buttons. We end up sharing and swapping buttons. Also, a prize is given to the person who has voted as having found the best buttons. The photo on the left shows the buttons we found on one trip. The rest of the photos are just of us group members having a good time. Back to our D buttons. Marlene Miller's D is for double shank. It's approximately 1.5 inches wide. Sharon Mills's D button is for Daniel Boone. It's a carved wood button depicting Daniel Boone. Sharon says the outside edge of the button shows where the wood grain is showing. Sue Moncrief's D is for Damascene. Sue tells us that Damascene buttons are a new favorite of hers. She says Damascene is the art of inlaying different materials into one another, typically gold and silver into a dark oxidized metal, creating an intricate design. She also says buttons are fairly easy to find and fit any pocketbook. Virginia Russ's D is for Dorset buttons. Virginia says a Dorset button is a thread button originally made in England from the middle of the 18th century. Making Dorset buttons was considered a cottage industry because both men and women made them at home to sell. She says these are the only ones I have. That's all for D. Thanks to everyone who contributed. Next week, we are combining E and F buttons in our search. You can send button photos for either E or F, or both. To see a list of possibilities, visit my website's blog at www.holybuttons.com and look for October 2016 and December 2016. Please send comments or suggestions to me at holybuttons@gmail.com. Thanks again. Bye.